We'll start practice laying down on our backs today in something called constructive rest. So just go ahead and lay down. You can have your block nearby for later. Just lay down on your back with your knees bent and heel toe your feet out about as wide as your mat. So you can let your knees drop in toward each other. Don't worry if they don't touch, just let them sort of collapse in toward each other. That offers a little bit of inner spiral of the tops of the thighs that already kind of releases the low back even just a little bit. And then let one hand rest on your belly and one hand rest on your heart. And just kind of wiggle into this a little bit, kind of wiggle around and let yourself soften into this posture. And then you'll take a nice deep belly breath, inhaling, and breathe out through your mouth. So it might help to imagine that your lungs expand all the way down to your low belly, even though they really don't, of course, but just using your imagination to take these full body inhales. Let's do it again. Huge breath in. And just let everything release out through your mouth. Do that again one more time. Deep breath. And breathe out through your mouth. Now cross your elbows over your chest so that your fingertips reach behind you. Maybe you can touch your shoulder blades or not, doesn't matter. Just let your arms really relax across your chest. And we're going to bring our awareness to our back bottom ribs. So just in your mind's eye, bring your awareness to your back bottom ribs. And now we're going to breathe in and try to expand that space. So take a huge breath. Feeling your back bottom ribs expand down into the mat. And exhale out. Do it again, feeling those back bottom ribs flare down and out into the mat. And breathe out. Once more, back bottom ribs flaring down and out. And breathe it out. We're just going to do that again, switching elbows. So cross opposite arm on top. Just relax, let everything settle. Maybe a little rock of your head side to side to create space at the back of your neck now. Arms are really relaxed. Breath is nice and soft. Big inhale through your nose, expanding out through those back bottom ribs. Breathe out completely. Deep breath in through your nose, feeling those back bottom ribs expand. Breathe out fully. One more time, big expansive breath. Breathe out completely. Unwind your arms, relax them by your sides for a moment, and bring your awareness to what's called the natural S-curve of the spine. So feel the back of your pelvis touching the ground, and feel how your low back slopes up away from the floor, even just a little bit. And then you feel like your ribs and shoulder blades come back down onto the mat, and then there's some space at the back of your neck, and you feel the back of your head settle into the floor. So this is the natural S-curve of the spine. And we're going to try to maintain that through much of our practice today. So just awareness to that gentle curve from your tailbone all the way up to the back of your skull. So heel toe your feet apart. Now hug your knees into your chest, give them a little bit of a squeeze. Just going to rock up to a seat to take your block in between your thighs. And then extend your heels forward a little bit. So your feet are flexed. Your knees are still bent, but not as bent as they were before. And you're going to squeeze that block between your inner thighs to roll the toes to touch each other. Hug your low belly in just a little bit and just release yourself back down onto the mat. So we're going to use the glutes and hamstrings a little bit to help release the low back even more. Again, a gentle rock of your head side to side just for a moment, finding that length in the back of your neck, and then settle into center. You'll dig your heels down into the floor a little bit and hug the block in at the same time, as if you're trying to like drag your whole body across the mat using just the strength of your heels. Then reach your arms up overhead, interlace your thumbs. So just hook your thumbs, spread your fingers gently, and feel the shoulder blades come down the back. And then try to pull your hands apart a little bit, resisting with the thumbs. As long as it feels okay with your shoulders, you can let your arms float up over your head, but keep your ribs knit in. Don't let your spine do what I'm doing right now, lifting up off the floor. Instead, keep the ribs hugging in. You still have space between your low back and the floor, but the ribs are pulling down, and it prevents me from letting my fingertips touch the floor. That's totally fine. Just keep the ribs engaged. Keep the heels digging in and keep hugging onto that block. Gently try to pull the thumbs apart. Take a huge breath in and flare your back bottom ribs into the floor. Exhale out completely. Squeeze the block. Try to dig yourself forward. Deep breath in. And exhale. Again, it's those back bottom ribs flaring out into the mat. One more breath. And exhale. Just relax your arms, straighten your knees, just relax for a quick second, sensing into your back. Maybe there's already a little more space for breath. And we're just going to do that same thing again. So squeeze your block, bend your knees, flex your ankles so the heels are digging into the floor. Arms up over chest, opposite thumb on top. This time you'll know right away which one it is. Fan your fingertips out a little bit and bring your shoulder blades down the back. Create the space in the back of the neck. Squeeze the block, dig your heels in. So now dig in a little more fiercely, like you're really trying to pull your whole torso forward on the mat. Shoulder blades engaged as you try to pull your thumbs gently apart. Let your arms reach up over your head as far as you can while keeping your ribs engaged. I'll take 3 of those big fan breaths here. Inhale, fanning your back ribs out into the floor. Breathe it out. 2 more, big breath. Really let those back bottom ribs expand. Exhale. Keep squeezing the block and digging your heels in. Try to relax your butt a little bit. One more time. And exhale, let everything go. Arms by your sides, let your feet flop open. Just taking your block aside, you'll hug your knees into your chest gently. Just give them a gentle little squeeze. And then just roll around on your sacrum, holding your kneecaps. A couple of times, 2, 3 times. And then roll the other direction. Bring your chin to your chest, curl up into a ball, and rock on your spine a couple of times, just forward and back, as much as feels good. And then roll all the way up to a seat, and we'll just come right up onto hands and knees. So hands and knees, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and tuck the toes under. We're going to do an articulated cat-cow. So not just cat-cow moving back and forth between the 2 poses, but articulating the bones of the spine one at a time as we go. So lifting the sit bones, draw the shoulder blades down the back, center the chest goes forward, and look forward as much as feels good on your neck. Lifting your sit bones up, try not to collapse in your shoulders, your spine, but push into the floor and lift. Take a breath. As you exhale, you'll tip your tailbone down toward the floor and try to keep your chest forward and your face up as long as you can. As you start to move one bone at a time, up your back, through the middle back, between the shoulder blades, push gently into the floor, and then drop your chin to your chest like a cat spine. Upper back presses toward the ceiling. Now we'll go the other way. Just tilt your butt bones up as you try to keep your upper back rounded. Push firmly into the floor, keeping your elbows straight. Lifting, trying to move one bone of your spine at a time till finally you pull your shoulder blades down your back, center of the chest goes forward, and you lift your face. We're just going to go back and forth one more time. So drawing the tailbone underneath you, pull in at the low belly. Really try to move your bones one at a time, articulating all the way up until finally you push into the floor and drop your chin to your chest. And then up the other way, tilting your butt bones up toward the sky, slowly moving up, bone by bone, up through the middle back, between the shoulder blades down the back, and then take your gaze forward. From here, we'll just bring the right foot forward to the inside of your thumb. Bring your hands up onto your front thigh and keep this hip directly over this knee. You can tuck the back toes or leave them untucked, whatever feels best on your knee. You can always put a blanket or a towel under your knee if it doesn't feel comfortable on your kneecap. And then we're going to draw this thigh bone way back into the hip socket so it's really glued in its spot. We're going to move into a twist with stabilizing the pelvis and the sacrum. Take the back of your left hand to the outer right thigh or knee, wherever you can comfortably reach, and keep your shoulder blade engaged on your back. And then push your knee into your hand and your hand into your knee at the same time at about like 25% of your strength. And you'll feel your glutes turn on a little bit. Bring your right hand to the very center of your pelvis, at the back of your pelvis, and drop the shoulder blade down the back. Your chin is parallel to the floor and you're reaching up through the crown of the head. Take a nice deep breath. Don't stop that isometric contraction between the knee and the hand. And then gently pivot, rotating your rib cage to the right. Keep your hand on your sacrum to stabilize you. Right shoulder blade down the back, and you're just twisting as deeply as feels right in your body. Arm pressing into your knee, knee into your hand, arm. Slowly turning your gaze back behind you as far as feels right. And we're just going to hold this for 2 breaths. Inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. Slowly unwind forward, bring your hands to the floor. Just going to lift your back knee up off the ground as you pivot to face the left side of your mat. Parallel your feet to each other. Make sure your toes are in line, and you can even turn your toes in just the littlest bit. We're going to find some extension for the sides of the spine. So you can bend your knees as much as you need to. You can also put your hands up on a block if you need to here. So take a nice deep breath, put a little bend in your knees, and just kind of rock your weight back in your heels. So you feel your butt bones are kind of reaching back behind you. And then with your hands on the block or not, you're just going to bring the hands out as far as you can reach, pressing your hands into the block or into the floor, whichever feels right for you, as you drop your head between your arm bones. So you might feel a little stretch in the armpits here. Take a breath. You're pressing your sit bones back, trying to rock back into your heels a little bit while you resist with your hands, with your fingertips. And then we'll just push a little bit firmer down into the hands, into the block or to the floor. Take a breath. Deep exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Deep exhale. And just one more time. Deep breath. Feel those back ribs expand and exhale it all out. Let's bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Pivot to the front of the mat. Bring your back knee down and just come back onto your knees. And we're just going to switch sides. Just taking that left foot forward, knee over the ankle, coming on up, pressing your hands onto your thighs. Draw that left thigh bone way back into your hip socket. Try to drop that left sit bone down a little bit. Back of the right hand comes anywhere along the outer leg, and draw the right shoulder blade way down the back. Bring your left hand around to the very center of your pelvis, that's right on your sacrum, and bring your shoulder blade down the back. Chin is parallel to the floor. Take a nice deep breath and start to find that isometric contraction, pushing your hand into your knee and your knee into your hand at the same time. And then we'll slowly pivot the rib cage, rotate the rib cage just as far back as feels right. And then looking back behind you just as far as feels right. Don't let go of that isometric contraction in the front leg and arm. And we'll take 2 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale, feeling the stable pelvis and the rotating ribs. One more inhale. And exhale deeply. Inhale, just unwind, rotate forward. We're going to lean forward, tuck the back toes under. And then push into the front thigh, into the front foot, and come all the way up to stand at the front of your mat. Feet pointing straight ahead. And about inner hips width apart. And just find your weight in the very center of your feet. We're going to interlace the fingers and press the palms forward and then right up over your head as far as feels comfortable. Drop your chin to your chest and feel yourself lift off from those back bottom ribs. Try not to hike your shoulders up, but imagine you can pick yourself up from those lowest ribs and lift them right off your waist, right up off your waist. And then we're just going to breathe into that space. So take a huge breath and breathe out. Again, breathing into that space just at the back bottom ribs. And breathe out. Now one more time, deep breath. And breathe out. As you exhale, let your arms just float down next to you. And we're going to roll into a forward fold from the top of your head. So bend your knees a little. Feel the heaviness of your head start to drop you forward, one bone at a time. Your knees are still bent. Your tailbone is tucked. And you're just rolling all the way down as far as feels right. You can drop your hands, drop your head. And then we're just going to inhale, roll it all the way back up, one bone at a time. And then your chin lift, head rising, shoulders dropping down the back. And pausing here for a moment. So maybe sensing into some of the space you've already created in your low back, in your back body. So we're going to use our own hands to sort of manipulate and create even more space. You're just going to bring your hands onto the top of your pelvis. So usually we're like, put your hands on your hips, right? But this is really the top of your pelvis. These are really your hips. So hands on top of your pelvis and thumbs reach around behind you, right on top. If you can find that sort of top bony ridge of your pelvis, and just snuggle your thumbs right in there, right side, left side. I'm just turning so you can see a little bit. So we're just going to press the thumbs in a little bit and then gently push down toward the floor. It's like you're trying to drop your tailbone underneath you a little bit by pressing your thumbs into that ridge of the pelvis. And then we'll take a nice deep breath into the space between your thumbs. And breathe out, let everything relax a little bit. Gently pressing your thumbs in and down into that top ridge of the pelvis. Breathe into the space between your thumbs. One more time, feel the shoulders relaxed and easy on the back. And pressing the thumbs in and down. And breathe into the space between your thumbs. And breathe it all out. And just finally, a little fascia release for the low back. So myofascia is that connective tissue that runs through our whole body. And we're gonna focus on the fascia across what are called the erector spinae, these long skinny muscles that run alongside your spine. So you're just gonna take your feet out a little bit wider than your feet and do like this sort of funky chicken dance, right? With your knees bent a little bit and your butt bones kind of sticking back behind you a little bit. And then bring your fingertips right onto your spine and then walk them out about an inch. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed and feel that muscle turn on there. So it feels pretty hard on either side of your spine, running on either side of your spinal column. So drop your shoulders. And we're going to use those fingertips to wiggle, like you're just kind of jiggling the skin up and down on your back. And then move your hands down a little bit. Your fingers are either side of your spine, not right on your spinal column, but on either side. And moving down again, and wiggle up and down, and a little bit lower, and wiggle up and down. And then wiggle back up and up, just as high as feels okay on your shoulders and arms. Take your fingertips out a little wider and wiggle down and down and down and wiggle up. And now you're just going to take the heel of your hands right onto the top of your glutes, like right on the top of your booty. And as you push your hands in and down, you'll tuck your tailbone under and round. Now push your hands down into your glutes and slowly, as you push down, roll back up to stand. Now relax your arms for a moment, float your head, sensing into some of the space you've just created in the fascia of your back body. We're just going to repeat that one more time. So bend your knees, a little funky chicken, sticking your booty out just a little bit, and then really lifting your front ribs up. That's what's really going to turn those muscles on. And just a little bit faster this time, just jiggle up and down with your fingertips alongside your spine, and down, and jiggle back up. And bring your hands right onto the tops of your glutes. Take a breath. Exhale, tuck your tailbone under, push your hands into your booty, drop your chin, and then you'll slowly keep pushing down into your glutes as you roll back up to stand. Relax your arms, float your head, and bring your awareness to the space at the low back. So I hope that was helpful in creating some space in your body and in your mind. Namaste.